Cubecraft is a popular Minecraft server started in 2012. It has gained a lot of its popularity for its staple game, Eggwars, where your challenge is to break the eggs of other players and be the last base standing. It opened the gates for many strategies to win games quickly, but just how quickly exactly? Today, we will take a look at the stories of those players who wanted to push the game one step further. Welcome to the world record progression of Eggwars Duos Any Percent on Cubecraft Bedrock Edition. There are a few things I want to explain before we continue about the difference between Minecraft Java and Minecraft Bedrock. Minecraft Java is only accessible using a PC, whereas Bedrock Edition can be accessed using your phone, your console, and your PC, meaning all platforms are able to compete against one another. There are also a few differences in mechanics that are introduced into Bedrock that differ from Java. That quickly became a staple for all speedruns. Speed bridging. Speed bridging is where you are able to place a chain of blocks in front of you in quick succession, while walking, running, or sprinting. It is an easy technique to learn, but to master it is something that took players a long time to do. The addition of speed bridging, as well as easy accessibility and a high player count, is the reason why speedrunning on Bedrock Edition Cubecraft has become far more popular than on Java. Hence, we will be discussing the Bedrock edition of the game. Cubecraft released their Bedrock Edition server in 2019. However, the idea of speedrunning the game never really took off at first. Due to there being no in-game timer, players would have to rely on recording their runs in their entirety. And seeing as most of the player base used mobile, the recording of gameplay was few and far between. Cubecraft's official forums created a Book of World Records thread that people could give proof of any feat they felt was record-worthy and submit it to be added. However, those only consisted of screenshot proof, and without the addition of the in-game timer, no one really thought to speedrun Eggwars Duos. The most of a speedrun that can be found is a Let's Play video by the YouTuber called Cast Central. We won't go too much into it, however, as the game itself only represents a casual playthrough at most. No strategy was used, and Cast's intention was only to try and win the game, which would take him a whopping 9 minutes and 49 seconds, mostly thanks to the intense team that he fought to obtain his win. Activity to do with Eggwars teams of 2 was quite uncommon, as a lot of players took more enjoyment in playing either Eggwars solo or Eggwars teams of 4. The YouTuber Slinky GNU would boast a screenshot of him getting every single egg in the game on the Cubecraft Book of Records forum. However, without video, the time would be unknown. In between that time, people would start grinding wins in the game, mastering its mechanics it had to offer. But with no sort of documentation or video as to any games being faster than 9:49, it was classed as the fastest recorded game of Eggwars Duos. Until one player showed up. A player that had started out on his first few hundred wins took interest in completing the game at a fast pace. His name? Related Noobs, or Team Termite by his YouTube channel. Seeing that Slinky GNU had gotten an all-eggs run of Eggwars Duos, Related Noobs along with his friend Nimble wanted to get a game of their own, uploading their world record amount of eggs in one game. This was very well received by the community, and timing the run, Related would achieve a time of 3 minutes 31 seconds on March 20th, 2020. To note, however, Related did not complete this run with the intention of going fast. but rather to break every egg in the game. A lot of strats used in the run were very basic, opting to wait on the starting iron generator for a long time to collect the most resources that you can need, and even going as far as to protect the egg. However, he would soon take an interest in speedrunning, as he had maxed out the amount of eggs he could get in one game. The only direction he could go was speed, and he did just that. On April 16th, 2020, Related would record his first run that he would submit of 2 minutes and 23 seconds. He had figured out quite quickly that the fastest map to speedrun was a map called Modern, as opposed to Toys, which he had used in his previous 331. This would later become the staple to all speedruns. Use Modern for the fastest time possible. Very little, however, is known about the strats used in that video, as the video does not exist anymore. When Related achieved his record, he bragged on Discord about his feat, which would perk the interest of two very talented players, Toby2Spades and We Up In This House. From both England and Canada respectively, these two controller players would see his brag and give it a go for themselves. And within the same day, would achieve a time of 2 minutes and 15 seconds. They would then lower it again to a 2:04, smashing Related's record. Sadly again, we cannot see the strats they used in these records, as Xbox Live deletes clips after a certain amount of time. However, we know for a fact that these times happened, as others witnessed the videos for themselves, myself included. Related, furious by this, went back to the grind. And 2 days later, he would break their record with a 2 minutes and 2 second time. This time, we got to see our first footage of the game that still survives to this day. At the beginning of his run, he opted to have his teammate, Nimble give him his 10 blocks from the builder kit, for a total of 20. As well as wait on the iron gen to collect 15 iron to buy a sword, armour, pickaxe and 15 more blocks. His teammate would then get himself an additional 30 blocks with a sword, armour and pick, and both would rush to the opposite direction from each other. It is important to note that once Related had destroyed his first base, the enemy team had not yet collected any iron from the generator, meaning Related could buy another stack of blocks without waiting for the generator, saving him some time. He then opts to buy food and he carries on rushing each base one by one. He rushes middle to make use of the empty iron generator there and destroys the base to his left, and buying another stack of blocks to rush the final base. This was a good pace, however some of the enemy team would run away, costing them time and costing them the first sub 2 minute game by 2 seconds. Despite the run not being sub 2 minutes, he would upload it to YouTube as it was still the world record for the community to see, and he was congratulated, but his celebrations were very short-lived, as only the same day Toby and House would reclaim their record by a mere second. For the same reason as before, there is no surviving video of this record. This record used the same strategy as Related's 202, but with better luck. At this point, this had sparked a rivalry from 4 incredible Eggwars players, battling for world record dominance, and it wouldn't stop there. Related would fire back 2 days later, with a record that was unlike the previous records. It seemed he had achieved this by complete accident, while playing with Master Kadu. The special part about this record was it used the seasonal Easter map, which had a total of 7 eggs to destroy, as opposed to 5. But due to better luck and good execution, they would achieve the first recorded sub 2 minute game. The very same day, however, Dragon Knight and Silk Hyper Fox would fire a run out of nowhere, with a time of 1 minute and 47 seconds, beating them by 4 seconds. They used a lot slower starts, both waiting for 11 iron on the generator and getting 30 blocks and a pickaxe to start. However, both players were on mobile, meaning they could not speed bridge as quickly. Despite this, they would still briefly hold a record. At this point, I decided to join the world record battle, and together with related noobs on the same day, would achieve a 1 minute and 41 second game. This time with a more refined strategy, where I would give my 10 blocks to related. He would get only 11 iron from the iron generator to buy a pickaxe, a sword and 15 blocks. I would then save up a total of 20 iron, buying myself 45 blocks, armour and pickaxe, opting to not get a sword. Related's first team were not as lucky to fight, as they barely left any iron on the iron generator for Related to pick up, meaning he lost time there. However, there was already an existing bridge at the next base from middle, meaning he could save time and not buy as many blocks to break the eggs. The big part of the run was one of the enemy teams attacking and killing another team in advance, meaning both of us only had to destroy 2 eggs each, saving time and being able to snag a 1 minute 41 second time. On the 27th of April, Toby and House uploaded a bombshell to the category, a 1 minute 28 second game, 13 seconds ahead of Related and myself. This would prove to be an extremely good time, however, with a lot of very lucky factors involved. This record has surviving video proof showing us what happened in that game. It shows that a team had been disconnected due to a server bug spawning them in the middle of the map and kicking them from the game, as well as good RNG throughout with quite compliant teams. However, at the beginning, House had died, losing them a bit of time. But we see a new strat change in the fact that Toby opts to rush diagonally instead of to the middle. It is unclear as to whether that would save him any time, however. The base he would rush would have no players on it, meaning he could make use of the high amount of iron on the generator. This record would start a controversy within the community about people leaving the game. However, due to the current unofficial rules, it was only required for them to visit every base, meaning the record would pass. The speedrun.com page started up by myself and League for Cubecraft would be created, instead of using a text channel in a community Discord server. This would introduce 2 new ways to run the game: perfect percent, which is killing all players and getting all eggs, and 5 kills, which is obtaining 5 eliminations as fast as possible. It also meant that a certain set of rules could be established for the community. By now, the notion was set that the category had just gone dead. Toby and House had gotten incredible luck, and beating the 128 was simply impossible, right? Well, on the 1st of May 2020, a new runner would appear on the scene, wanting some world record glory of his own. His name? Real JCG. Real JCG is an American player who had just gotten onto the leaderboards for the game, and wanted a bit of world record glory of his own. His first focus, however, was the perfect percent category, and on that day, he would upload his first speedrun of the game. 1 minute, 41 second perfect percent game, with his teammate, Sad Street Ken, another leaderboards player who was just in the top 10 for wins at the time. However, Real JCG wanted more. He would grind to bask in world record glory, and on the 17th of May 2020, he would achieve a 1 minute and 27 game with Sad Street Ken. However, this run would be rejected, due to the use of a bug called ghost bridging, that occurs when switching what stack of block you use while speed bridging. So while it had been beaten, it was done using a glitch. But this was not going to stop Jay's dream of holding the record, and Jay was about to make history that had never been done before, and will most likely never happen again. On the 28th of May, he would team up with Toby2Spades, and this time break the perfect percent category. However, they wouldn't just break the perfect percent record, they would simultaneously obtain the any percent record, tying the 128. But this run was insane. They had somehow managed to get every kill and every egg in the same amount of time it would take previous records to only win the game. This simultaneous record was the first and only ever time up to the present day that the perfect percent and any percent record was set by the same run, and has only ever been beaten by 3 other duos even now. At this point, however, the category lay dormant for a while. A few of the record-holding runners were putting in runs, but with no good luck to beat this elusive time. People had said that the category was dead, but one runner would not view the category that way. Related Noobs grinded for a solid 3 months to get back his Eggwars Duos world record. After all, he was the one who started it all off. He grinded with multiple different people, myself included, until July 30th, 2020, the stars aligned. Related Noobs uploaded his video obtaining a 124 any percent time, beating the record by 4 seconds. This run, like Toby and House's record, consisted of a lot of amazing luck that played a part in taking this time down. For a start, Related now opted to have the builder kit blocks when rushing left, and this time would only wait for 6 iron to buy 15 blocks and a pickaxe. Just like Toby and House's 128, however, Related would die at the beginning, losing him time. Despite this, a lot of the enemy teams would attack each other fairly early on, leaving both him and real JCG to clean up, and to quote Related, cheese a world record. Not long after, the game received a small quality of life update, adding an in-game timer at the end of your game. Surely, this would encourage more players to grind for the world record and push it lower, right? Well, the record history now takes a large turn. On the 26th of August 2020, It's Clutches and Sad Street Ken were casually playing when out of nowhere, they got some incredible luck, as another good team had ended up being in their game. It meant that they only required to destroy 3 out of the 5 eggs in the game, shortening their time, and with a small mistake from the other team, they were finished with ease. The time? 1 minute and 16 seconds. 8 seconds ahead of Related's record. This record wasn't received too well, as most players didn't want to play the category anymore, due to the sheer luck needed to get the record. No one wanted it anymore. Neither Toby, or Related, or JCG, no one. They all went back to grinding wins, and Toby and House focused on their battle to keep Slinky GNU from taking first place from them. Would the record ever be touched again? Cubecraft then introduced another Eggwars update, the Emerald update. While not very well received, the update, however, did open up a new item. In all runs previous, your only option was to buy either 15 blocks for 5 iron or 63 blocks for 21 iron, which limited strategy a fair bit. However, this update introduced a 24 block purchase for 8 iron. Seeing as rushing diagonally required less blocks, and 24 was just the right amount to make it, it opened up the floodgates for a new strat. Who would be bold enough to go for the record again? Well, let me introduce you to a new generation of speedrunners. Angie Plays 4583 and Nightmare 9945. Fairly new players from Austria and Jordan respectively, they started grinding and learning the strategies. Discovering speedrunning, they took it upon themselves to grind for the next record. They would obtain their first prominent time of 1:26 on November 2nd, 2020, putting them in 3rd place. A week later, they improved their time to a 1:22, and then 5 days after that, they took the time to a 1 minute 20-second run. They were 2nd place and had gotten closer to the record than anyone had been before. But they weren't alone. 2 days later, another prominent pair of runners would also take their chances at running the game, stopping Nightmare and Angie in their tracks. Their name? Quiet Muerte and Waspbrain420. Runners from the USA and England respectively, they had started grinding the record together, taking world records for all the other categories, including perfect percent, 5 kills, and the new no kills category. Any percent was all that remained for the full sweep. Quiet was a fairly new player, while Waspbrain with top 10 wins for Eggwars duos. They would achieve a 1 minute 19-second game, taking 2nd from Nightmare and Angie. They were only 3 seconds away from the 1:16, and with that, the race was on. Both pairs had the ability to get it. Who would it be? Well, that question would be answered only a day later, when this happened. Angie and Nightmare had achieved the record, tying the 1:16. They were first in the world and could celebrate that their time had finally been matched. Some new strats had been incorporated into their games, both gameplay and psychological. For fast runs of the game, it was beneficial to have less teams to kill. Angie and Nightmare adopted a strat that had not been seen before. They would vote for hardcore mode, to only vote overpowered at the last second. This was to deter people from staying in the game, and would mean less teams for them to kill. An ingenious strategy that did not break any server rules. There were also small changes in their gameplay strats. Up to this point, it was the standard for one teammate to give the other teammate all their blocks, and the person rushing to the base parallel would take all 20 of those blocks. But it was found that the player rushing the base parallel could potentially do it using only 10 builder kit blocks and 15 bought blocks. But this was very difficult and a risky strategy, requiring 4 block jumps to make the gaps necessary. But it meant that your teammate only had to save up 9 iron for the 24 block purchase and then rush diagonally. This strat was used to get fast-paced runs, however, with a lot of the time being unsuccessful and resulting in a death, or just slower execution due to the precision needed. However, I was grinding with real JCG, and as I did the diagonal rush, I noticed I would have about 4 blocks spare after my rush. So I said to Jay, what if I gave you 3 of my blocks, making it less risky? So we tried it, and sure enough, it worked great. The strat was then spread around the community using JCG streams and adopted as the meta. It not only reduced the risk of falling in the void, but it could also be done without having to stop and take a run up, saving far more time. The strat is used in the 1:16 at the beginning, where Nightmare executes it perfectly. His 2 teams, however, were not very kind to him and ran away, meaning Angie needed to get 3 eggs instead of Nightmare. One of Angie's teams only had 1 player that saved some time, but still, the run had time to improve. Angie and Nightmare took a sigh of relief, and after 2 months of grinding, they had the world record. Fell Club and Shadow Mitts would show a screenshot of them achieving a 1 minute and 9-second time. However, due to no video evidence, it could not be accepted as a world record. This would show that far lower than 1:16 was entirely possible, and only a day later, someone would turn that into a reality. On the 23rd of November 2020, Wasprain and Quiet had been grinding for the record on stream. They were on one of their grind streams and did something incredible. Quiet and Wasp achieved a 1 minute 9 second run. This blew the 1:16 out of the water, a full 7-second improvement. They used the same strategies as Angie and Nightmare, minus the hardcore strat, but had far better luck, having a team rush and take out a team for them. This left only 4 eggs for them to get. They would clean up the game with ease, achieving the first ever sub 1 minute 10 run. It was becoming clear that these times were getting dangerously close to the ultimate barrier, sub 1 minute. People had theorised limits for the category. Some said 120 would be the maximum, others said lower, but sub 1 minute was an insane feat. The sheer luck needed with your bases to achieve such a time would be insane. Was anyone going to grind for it? Well, the battle continued. Quiet and Wasprain would upload an improvement of 1 minute and 7 seconds to the leaderboards. However, due to it being decided that one of the enemy teams had purposely helped them get a faster time, it was disallowed. Nightmare and Angie would close the gap between them, achieving a 1 minute 10 second time on December 7th, 2020. With only 1 second between them, it was getting close. Not long after this, a new Eggwars update was added that would change the beginning strategy entirely. The amount of blocks you got from the builder kit changed from 10 to 15 blocks. Nightmare and Angie came up with a new strategy using this change to cut down the 6 iron waiting period to 1 iron, as your teammate would give you exactly 12 blocks, leaving a total of 27 blocks to use to get to the next base. With the new strategy in hand, Nightmare and Angie only 5 days later would take back their record by a mere second, achieving a 1 minute 8 second time. This was the first record they had ever truly had without being tied. While Quiet and Wasp's disallowed run was slightly faster, it was considered the record. But this would not last long, as on the 29th of December 2020, Nightmare and Angie would achieve a 1 minute and 4 second time, and they showed no signs of stopping. In each run, they would use the same strategies, but the luck was just getting better and better each time. One day later, the heavens opened. Nightmare and another partner, Just Let Me Die, went to their grind yet again. Not expecting too much success, they started a run, but this run was special. Due to them using their hardcore vote strat, 2 teams had left. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. They used the strat that they had been practicing and executed an incredible run, with the enemy teams being quite easy to take out. After taking out the last player, they could only sit there and wait for their time. And their final time? 59 seconds. The first ever sub 1 minute time had been achieved after months of constant grinding and stratifying. And that is where the world record stands today. With the sub 1 minute being celebrated, it had also had a lot of controversy with it. While they were using the vote hardcore strategy to get people to leave, they would also message chat telling people to leave the game, due to it being hardcore. This controversy went quite viral around the community, and after some careful discussion, the mods created a rule change. The vote hardcore strategy was allowed. However, telling someone to leave your game would not be allowed. This led to the 59 the 104 and the 108 to be removed, defaulting the record back to a 109 by Quiet and Wasp. A controversial decision at that. It did not look good for Nightmare, Angie, and Just Let Me Die. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Nightmare and Angie would submit a 109 run of their own, achieved on the toy map of all maps. This was achieved on the 27th of December, but not uploaded due to them possessing a faster time at the time. Nightmare and Angie would not stop there though, as finally, on February 7th, 2021, they would get a 1 minute, 1 second time using the new rules, being only 2 seconds away from their best time, but still possessing the record they deserved. For 4 days. Quiet and Waspbrain had not forgotten about the record. While this was going on, they had been secretly grinding in the background for the fastest run they could. Using the hardcore strat, they finally got a run of 59 seconds, being the second duo to ever get a time under 1 minute. The run was just as lucky, if not luckier, than Nightmare's run, having 5 people leave the game. However, due to where they spawned, it would take longer for them to prepare, balancing the time out to a 59 second. This, however, was 0.8 seconds behind Nightmare's 59 game, but was still considered the world record due to the rule change. Due to Angie having less time to play, Nightmare would have to find someone else to grind the record with, and would team up with Safwan11. He would grind with Safwan to get his sub 1 again, this time not breaking any of the new rules. He would grind for hours every day, hoping he would get the 59 second game he had achieved. But on the 23rd of February, his dream finally came true. But he wouldn't just get a 59 second game, or even a 58. He would get a 57 second Eggwars Duos game. This time, however, a lot less people left the game compared to all other records. Nightmare and Safwan had just played incredibly well, optimizing the game to the point of Nightmare even using slight head hitter strategies. And that is where the world record stands to this very day. Eggwars Duos Any Percent has become the most popular game mode on speedrun.com, with more than 100 different times being submitted to the leaderboards. The record has come a long way, but is the journey over yet? Nightmare has said that him and Safwan will be grinding for a sub 50 second time, but only time will tell as to when it will happen. As for the other runners in this video, most have moved on to other categories and runs. Related Noobs, Quiet, and Awabbit are currently having a small battle for the perfect percent Eggwars solo record. Waspbrain, while battling Sad Street Ken for first place for the wins on Eggwars Duos, has dipped into going for multiple records, and is currently in a battle with myself for the Eggwars Teams of 4 Any Percent world record. Real JCG has his eyes on the Eggwars Duos perfect percent record, vowing to achieve the first sub 120 run. We will see soon enough if his dream becomes a reality. Watching this time drop so much in the last year has been incredible, and I really hope you enjoyed watching the story behind that. I have been GH Spaghetti, thanks for watching. If you want to get into speedrunning this game, the link to the Discord server will be in the description, as well as a link to the speedrun.com page if you would like to submit a run to the leaderboards. This video has taken a long time to edit and record, so if you enjoy it, liking and subscribing would really help me out. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.